Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winick. I'm the founder and CEO of Thought Leadership Leverage. And today we're working on episode number 4 of the podcast, Leveraging Thought Leadership. And I am thrilled and delighted to have with me today Peter Shankman. Hello, Peter.
Howdy, sir. How are you?
Great. So I'm going to give everybody Peter's sort of official bio. It is pretty long, and it's long because Peter's done so many cool things. So he's the author of 5 books, Faster Than Normal, Unlocking the Gifts of ADHD, Nice Companies Finish First, Customer Service, New Rules for a Social Media World. Can We Do That? Outrageous PR Stunts That Work and Why Your Company Needs Them. He's a world-renowned speaker. The New York Times has called him a public relations all-star who knows everything about new media and then some. And this is my favorite part. Peter Shankman's a spectacular example of what happens when you merge the power of pure creativity with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and a dose of adventure and make it work to your advantage. He's also the founder of Haro that he sold after a couple of years, starting that in his apartment, and an all-around good guy. So Peter, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
Great. So our focus today is to basically think about talking to people like yourself, authors, speakers, thought leaders that are trying in this really busy, crowded world of ours to get their message out, to get their content out, and obviously make a difference, make a living. So give me first, because yours is a little bit different than most, give me a sense of sort of Peter World. What are the various business operations that you've got?
Peter World. That would be like a horrible amusement park. My God.
Said Peter to Peter.
So what do I do? What do I do in Peter World? Well, I have a mastermind. I have a group of about 200 people in my mastermind, entrepreneurs from anywhere from 1 to 3 years in business. I built that because after I sold Haro, I got so many people, say, "Oh, join my mastermind. It's 20 grand a year," and no one's saying, "Hey, I want to help people who are just starting out." And I wanted to do that, so that's what I built, and that's called Shankman. That goes really well. From there, I have a accelerated mastermind with about 20 people maximum, and that's at shankminds.com/accelerator. That's designed for people over a certain revenue milestone who have one specific goal they're trying to get. What else do I do? I have several books, most recently Faster Than Normal, which is about ADHD. I am focusing on the fact that ADHD is a gift, not a curse. I'm sick of the fact that we put every single kid in the world on essentially amphetamine salts, otherwise known as Adderall, and with the premise of you're broken. Well, you're not broken. You just have a faster brain. You simply need to learn how to use it. So my goal is to teach people how to use their faster brain. That is accompanied by a best-selling book called Faster Than Normal, which Random House published last year. What the hell else do I do? I'm still a corporate keynote speaker, talking to companies ranging from American Express to Disney, SAP to Oracle, the Major League Baseball, the newspapers around the world, having a blast doing that. I talk about the customer economy, customer service, things like that, why the next 50 years of the economy are going to be powered by the customer experience. And then what else? I consult on occasion, and then I'm an influencer. I'm an influencer to companies I like. They have to be companies I believe in. And I am, so everything from, just someone who has they'll send me a product and I'll play with it and give them my feedback, all the way to paid influencing gigs for different companies where I'm actually paid, like Sylvania, where they come in, they lit my entire apartment with their digital IoT lighting, and I talk about it. So it's I'm keeping busy, have a lot of fun. Best part of all that, I'm a dad to a 4.5-year-old. Got to help you if you forget the half, and she is a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's the official break point for not having to do fractions on our age? I just turned 50, so I'm over that, I guess.
Well, you know what? I don't know when the break point is for kids. I think it's probably when they hit 11. But I think that what kills me is I talk to parents whose kids are like, 3.5, and they're like, she's just 36 months. I'm like, okay, number one, bitch, stop making me do math. And number two, she's just 3. She's a child. She's not a brie. Let's just call it, 3 years old.
Exactly. So I agree. So, okay. The other thing that is sort of an expertise that you have is obviously you come from the PR world. So tell me, what are the things that you're doing to get your message out there that are working? And what are the things that you used to do that work that aren't working as much anymore? Because I think you're usually cutting edge. So I think there's a lot of people that might be doing stuff that worked circa 2011 that haven't turned the calendar.
I think a lot of what still works. I had a journalism professor once who said, "Be brilliant at the basics," and that's still one of the best suggestions I've ever heard in my life. The more you're good at the basics, the easier it is to do everything else. Reporting. Journalists are doing 10 times more with 5 times less. So helping reporters do their job, helping them improve their abilities, helping them do things that that makes their life easier. That's still the best thing you could possibly do. Understanding, what they're working on, pitching the right person, focusing on the right reporter, not wasting their time. Those things are still
Right.
huge, and pretty amazing how many people don't understand how to do it. But the nice thing about that is because most people suck at doing it, it's really not that hard. I go back to my favorite joke: the two guys who are out for a trail run in the woods, and they see a bear. And the first one's, "Holy shit, it's a bear, dude! What are we gonna do?" And the second one is leaning down and tightening up his running shoes. And the first one says, "Dude, don't be crazy. You can't outrun a bear." And the second guy says, "Oh, no, I just need to outrun you."
Yeah. So that's the basics. I mean, you're being responsive, you're being smart, you're being focused, you're not wasting someone's time. What about on the social side? Because it seems there are some days that I see you in a good way, sort of everywhere, Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Give me a sense of how you judge or decide what to do and what not to do, because you're a busy guy like everybody else, and I assume the things that you're doing are yielding benefit. So how do you make those decisions?
I think for me, I understand where my audience is, what they're doing, where they're going. I try to get in their heads. I try to understand what my audience wants. And I think the most important thing for me is I focus on giving information to my audience that I know they're going to use and it's going to benefit them. In other words, I'm very much of the belief that I subscribe to the spandex rule, which basically says that having an audience just like spandex is a privilege. It's not a right. Okay, I do not have the right to wear spandex. If I work out, if I train all year, then during my triathlons that I race in, I've earned the privilege of wearing spandex during the race. As soon as the race is over, the guy comes over to me, "Sir, I need you to put on this big oversized T-shirt." Now, I get that. I understand that. But it's the same exact thing with having an audience. It's not a right. You don't have the right to an audience. You have the right to make people listen to you. You have to earn that privilege every single day. So I spend the majority of my time, creating content that people are going to want.
So that's great. So let me push on that. So there are a lot of people putting stuff out there every day because we can. It's cheaper than ever. You don't need to get into a studio to produce video. Everybody's a publisher, blah blah blah. But there's a ton of crap out there, right? And I don't know about you, but my most valuable resource is my time. And I want, if somebody's going to put stuff out there, I hope it's thoughtful. I hope it's insightful. I hope they've put some energy into that. So tell me about, sort of taking the crap filter.
Well, again, that's sort of the best part, is that if you can give your audience good stuff and they come to trust that you're giving them good stuff, they're going to keep listening to you. And more importantly, if they start liking you and they start enjoying it, you're going to come up higher in their feed and more listening and things like that. So the goal, again, understand your audience as best as hugely possible and make sure you're giving them what they want. They'll tell you. They will most certainly tell you.
So give me an example. You mentioned Shankmans and the masterminds. I'm assuming those are business owners, entrepreneurs. Give me a sense of, who that audience is and what are the things that you can do to give to folks like them that could be clients of yours at some point down the road.
The simplest thing in the world, I think, is just start every day with, "Hey, what are you working on? How can I help?" Literally asking, "How can I help? How can I help you? What can I do for you? What can I do that's better? What do you need?" Right? It's incredible how many people don't do that. They say, "Hey, I'm working on this. How can you help me?" And I find that just by going to how I can help you, that right there, that's half the world. That's literally half the battle.
I love it. But where I was going is from a specificity perspective, because I love the generosity and you walk the talk, right? So a lot of people sort of, that's their pitch, that's what they say, but you really are aligned with what you say and you do what you say, which is refreshing in today's world.
I grew up in a world that that's just what you're supposed to
do. Be a mensch, right? Great. So where I was going though is if we break apart for me a specific target market. So for example, the market of people that join Shankmans is different than someone on the corporate side that needs to bring you in for a keynote.
Correct.
So sort of distinguish between those two markets. What could you do to each of those populations that's a benefit from that to them that's different.
I think for the in terms of the audience who's on Shankminds, for me, it's really about focusing on what I know about how I work with them, the things I've learned in history, learned in my career. In terms of what I do for the customers, it's the things that I've done that have created a very big company, right? And I created a company that I was able to sell, and what I learned from that. I think there are a lot of people running around giving speeches, running masterminds who have never actually done anything in the real world, right? Everything they do is very theoretical. I wanted to take the stuff I did that actually paid money, that actually earned me a lot of money, and figure out a way to show that to the rest of the world. That to me seems to be the most logical way to help people.
So credibility, gravitas, you've earned the right to say what you're saying because you've been there, done that, right? I probably wouldn't take diet and exercise advice from somebody that's 80 pounds overweight, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what about on the corporate speaker side, right? So as a corporate speaker, quite frankly, you're a commodity, right? There's thousands of speakers out there that'll do what you do for more money, less money. You might be smarter, funnier, pithier. Some of them could juggle fire or whatever. But
exactly.
How do you differentiate to those folks?
At the end of the day, my goal is very simple. I need to be able to create I need to be able to give you something. If I can make you laugh, that's a nice bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I make you laugh, that's great. But my goal at the end of the day is to give you valuable information that at the end of the day, you can go home or go to your office and implement immediately.
Got it. So that's perfect, because a lot of times, and you mentioned sort of there's an abundance of speakers and folks out there speaking that have never done, right? Part of what I like about what your style in your blogs and such is it's pretty tight and pretty relevant. You're not giving me pie in the sky, theoretical stuff. I want a little nibble, a little touch of something that I can actually implement. So how do you?
Right, you're going to go home and you're going to benefit from that.
Got it. And that's hard, right? So let's talk about. I was talking to someone on a previous podcast around the work part of this, the W word. People, I think a lot of people look at this business in this industry and say, "Oh my God, you're on stage and you're flying first class and you get paid all this money," and it's like, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or what?
First of all, the only time I fly first class is when I get upgraded. I never. If I'm speaking in Asia, yes, I ask for business class. I never ask for first class. But if I'm speaking in the U.S., it's coach all the time. Yeah, I'm the last thing I am is a dealer.
Got it. But where I was going with that is they look at this world and they say, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's pretty sexy. That's pretty cool. Tell me about the work, because a lot of people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes to constantly create content that's relevant, that's smart, that's targeted. Tell me a little bit about the energy and the effort.
Well, I'm very fortunate in that my ADHD actually allows me to get on stage and I draw energy from that. Like I literally draw a tremendous amount of energy from getting on stage and being in front of an audience. That to me is a highlight, right? I love that. So to be able to do that and get paid for it continues to blow my mind, right? I'm in love with that. So it's a lot of fun for me to do that. And I think that the best thing is to be able to, again, go on stage, create valuable information. I think if I just enjoyed going on stage and didn't actually give the people I'm speaking to any value, I wouldn't be doing it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I wouldn't be hired. But I'm speaking very, very large corporations and events and things like that because people have heard me speak in the past and they've gotten value out of it. So that I think is the goal. What can you create that's helping people?
So you got to be helping people. You got to be giving value. So I want to go back to something that you touched on and tie it back to one of your areas of expertise, one of your books. You're not a diva, right? And to me, I also don't think a lot of people that are in the space, speakers, authors, thought leaders, et cetera, think about their own customer experience. So I can't tell you how many speakers and such that are out there that somebody, they've got their website up and SEO and they're spending all this money, and somebody, a real live potential client, emails them and it's 6 days later till they get a response.
Oh yeah. I've gotten more speeches right off the bat because I just answer the goddamn phone.
Right. And again, I only have to beat you. It's the running shoe joke. But I think there's the customer experience side, right? So if you think about the buyer of a speech, it's somebody that's busy. They've got other things to do. They've got people to answer to, tight budgets, tight timelines, whatever. And I don't think a lot of speakers think about their customer experience. So the first thing that they do, you call me back after 7 days and say, oh, and here's my requirements: business class to fly from New York to Cleveland. Do they even have that, right? And the green M&Ms and the sweets. And it's like, tell me a little bit about how you would hope the last 5 keynotes that you gave, they would describe the customer experience of working with Peter Shankman?
Very easy. Like I said, I answer the phone myself. I always show up early. I mean, I took an earlier flight out last week by a day because I knew there was going to be a snowstorm and I wouldn't be able to get out. I've rented a car and driven 1,000 miles to get to the speech because the flights were canceled. I do a ridiculous amount of research on my audience, but I also never use PowerPoint, and I don't get up there and bore people. I get up there and tell stories, which is so much fun. That's like the highlight of me, because I don't, but I just go up and tell stories, and people within 5 minutes are like, "Holy crap, this guy's for real!" That's how do you beat that?
Got it.
So much
so
fun.
I believe, based on my experience and the work that I do, there are two types of speakers, right? And one is the type of speaker that wants to speak more, and two is the type of speaker that wants to speak less. And we work with both types. Talk to me now as if I was, Peter 10 years ago, and I wanted to do more. How would you advise someone sort of coming into this odd, weird, businessy space of thought leadership and content? And one of the things they wanted to do is speak more. What would you tell them to do?
If you want to speak more, speak more. It's the intent. My other favorite. If you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. So I am a believer that if you want to speak more, speak more. If that's what you want to do, continue working at it, bust your ass at it, get really good at it, and keep doing it. And talk to anyone, who you meet, and make sure you tell them what you do. I mean, obviously, tell what you want to do more about what you do, and share what the goal isn't. The goal isn't so much to say what you do. The goal is to make sure that people, that you're helping people.
Mm-hmm.
But as well as that, the more you do that, the more people can understand what you do. If you're next to me on a plane, I talk to everyone. If you're next to me on a plane, I mean, unless you fake you're deaf, I'm going to know everything about you by the time we've landed.
Well, there are two types of folks on plane, right? The talkers and the non-talkers, right?
But that's the thing. I'm not a talker. I'm going to know everything about you.
Right.
I didn't say you're going to know everything about me.
Right.
And that's a big, big difference, right? I'm getting on that plane. I'm going to listen to you. And very few people do that. I'm going to listen to figure out what you want to talk about. And how by the end of the trip, I'm going to know how I can help you.
Well, and what's amazing is there are many people, I fly a lot as well, that are total strangers when you sit next to them in 10D or whatever, and all of a sudden at 30,000 feet they'll share with you their greatest fears, their struggles, their whatever it is, at a pretty intimate level. And that's pretty cool, right? But you have to be authentic, and you have to listen, and you have to make it about them, and come at it from a place of wanting to be helpful and be of service. What are the other ways that you could see scaling either your world of content or some others that are pretty interesting now, whether that's digital or tools, or where else could you see Peter World going?
What I've started doing in the past year, I've started carrying my real camera with me. I have a Canon 5D4. Yep. I've started carrying that camera with me everywhere, and I'm shooting that for my Instagram. And I've doubled my Instagram from $6,000 to $12,000. Or it's like $5,000 and $10,000 worth of people in about a year, just because I've started taking better pictures.
So give me an example of what that does, though. So you've got a bigger Instagram following that leads to ...
Well, having that better Instagram feed right there has gotten me more followers. What do those followers do? Well, when I post something that they find interesting, skydiving, triathlon, early mornings, whatever, it's just more information I'm giving these people. Oh, wow, Peter gets up really early. I get up really early. I wonder what else he does. Oh, my God, he has a Peloton bike. So do I. Let's follow him on there. It's about creating that world. There's not one piece of content that will get someone to trust you.
Sure.
But repetitive, good quality will. Let me put it another way. You can't make anything viral, but you can make something good.
Exactly. And where I was going with that is the authenticity of some of those Instagram type videos that you're sharing. Is you might be up at 5:30 in the morning, all sweaty and gross and whatever, coming off the bike. Not necessarily your best CNN moment, but it works in that medium. That authenticity in that format is, geez, we all look like crap at 5:30 in the morning coming up.
I'm the first person to admit it.
Right.
I look like shit. I look like crap on my best days. I know who I am.
Got it. Give me a couple before we sort of start to wrap up here. other learnings, other tips and tricks for folks. So you sort of glanced over the big stuff. It's hard work. You've got to be consistent, put out high quality, because not everybody wants to hear those things, because there is no get rich quick way to do this. But any other tips and tricks of what things should be doing for the aspiring thought leader, the thought leader that wants to leverage their work and themselves a bit more?
I'd say everything you post should be, again, think about your audience. Do whatever you can to focus on them more than anything. Create good stuff. Create good stuff that is useful, that is healthy. Create good stuff that people like, that makes people smile. I mean, there's enough shit in this world. Don't bitch. Be that person that actually creates good stuff that makes people happy and useful.
And the other piece, my observation of the stuff that you do, and I think the stuff that all people that are great do in this space, is you're having fun doing it. There are many worse ways to make a living. And I think there's a little bit of gratitude and show the passion and show the fun that you're having and being blessed to do what you do.
I'm having a blast. I'm having a lot of fun. No question about it.
Awesome. Well, tell everybody how they can find you and stalk you and do inappropriate things.
Yeah, why not? My entire life is at shankman.com. The mastermind is shankminds.com. The ADHD podcast is fasterthannormal.com. And I'm at Peter Shankman on all the socials.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I am very glad we had you on today, and I think you had a lot to share with everybody. Thank you so much.
One is happy to be of service. Talk soon.
Thanks. To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.